All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Kai, you should just make it a routine to be that first dude every single week. I don't think anybody's going to be able to beat you. What's going on, Econics? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, sir. Let's do it again. Josh, how we doing this afternoon?
Good. I just got out our Twitch notification and said Josh and Jared are mad at each other. Come find out why. And if you don't know why, you should look at Jared, what Jared is wearing and what I'm wearing. It's gonna be a fun little show.
It certainly is. We won't even be able to talk about that game like the entire week because of the fact that it's not on the main slate. So we
I
will.
know.
Why don't we just talk about it here? I actually don't have the odds in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that your Niners are 3.5 point favorites.
Yeah, I mean, sounds about right. I think we're pretty evenly matched teams in all honesty. I think we're a little bit heavier on the defensive front, while you guys are definitely a lot better on the offensive front. But I'm excited for this game. Right now, Niners are 3 point favorites on them exactly, minus 162 odds, over under at 50. I expect this to be a little bit lower. I don't know if this hits that 50 point total, but we'll see. What do you think about that?
I think there are paths for the offenses to score, but I think that Green Bay actually I think that they struggle a little bit out the gate with this one. Uh, I know that it's different than what it was 2 years ago, but the run defense was just as bad as it normally was, and their defense did not look good early on. The main thing for the Packers is I think that they are, at least I am, a little bit scared of that defensive coordinator move from Mike Pettin. Doesn't look like anything's changed necessarily, so we will see. Again, I've said it a lot, but the Packers play bad in Florida and in California, and it's kind of just a thing. I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know if it's a prep thing, but whatever it is, maybe it's a weather thing. I don't know, but whatever it is, they just don't seem to be able to keep up with those two states specifically. So we'll see. Um, Econic says we've got no clue who the running back for the Niners is this weekend. I don't think it matters. I think that whoever's in is going to do just fine.
Yeah, I saw some TikTok that was like it was like every team's true thoughts coming into their week 3 matchup. And the Packer and it was like this guy acting as each team and he was saying the Packers and he's like, "Ooh, all your running backs are hurt. What are you going to do now?" And the Niners guy said that we could run a baby seal out at running back and he would have 80 yards and a touchdown, so we're not that scared. And that's honestly the most truthful thing I've ever heard about the 49ers.
Exactly. So do you want to? Obviously, we're not going to touch on them much for DFS this week, but do you want to break down kind of what's going on in that running back room for people that have season-long questions surrounding that game on Sunday night?
Yeah, so obviously we know that this team is dealing with a ton of injuries right now. We know that Raheem Mostert is most likely out, or not most likely out, definitely out. He's done for the season. We know that JaMychal Hasty is dealing with a high ankle sprain. That means he's out for this game. And Elijah Mitchell got injured in the last game. So he's turned into a point where we thought it was going to be good to go and he was just going to power through that injury. Now he's very questionable, which is concerning. Trey Sermon got a concussion this past Sunday, but is now looking good to go. So it looks like Sermon might be that RB1 that we expected him to be when the Niners took him in the 3rd round this past season or this past draft. But yeah, they have some backup guys there too. Not sure exactly what the depth chart is looking like. I can pull that up for us here. But looks like it's going to be Trey Sermon's job, and I would be surprised if Elijah Mitchell played, but we'll have to see.
Yeah. So for me, are we scared about the concussion at all? I know he's been cleared technically.
No.
Are we? We also won't really know what's going to happen with them since they're a West Coast team. They're not going to post that practice report probably until the end of the stream here, so we might get that while we're on. But yeah, we'll see. I would agree that Sermon's probably the dude, which is good for me because I have him in a few leagues. Uh, and I don't care if I'm facing that he's facing my team. He's probably going to do pretty well. Hey, youngsters, old man in the house, what's going on, Jarhead? Appreciate you coming in and hanging out this afternoon, guys. This again, Fridays are a season-long fantasy show, so not much DFS going on, but we have a lot of interesting rivalries in house this weekend, as you can see, and we want to get to all of your start sit questions in your leagues. So if you have any questions, whether it be your work league, your friends league, your family league, feel free to send them on over. We'll also be breaking down the RotoRadar high stakes league as well as the Dynasty and a few other leagues that we're involved in here. And this is always one of my favorite shows to do because we kind of get to step away from DFS a little bit, let these practice reports kind of come in and determine what's going to happen this weekend. And then, it's both article time for Josh and I.
Yeah, more of a laid back show, which is always awesome. We really dive deep into the NFL slate Monday through Wednesday for me, Monday through Thursday for you. And then Friday's a chance for us, like you said, to take a step back, kind of relax a little bit, talk about our season long leagues that, are high stakes, but feel, I don't know. I've always felt like I care more about DFS than season long. So it's more relaxing for me to pay attention to season long. I will just say we did just get some news from two different teams.
Cool.
Ravens had 8 players absent from Friday's practice. Those 8 players include outside linebacker Jalen Ferguson, outside linebacker Justin Houston, outside linebacker Pernell McPhee, inside linebacker Chris Board, D tackle Justin Maduka Buki. I might have got that terribly wrong, but we're going to keep rolling here. Offensive tackle Ronnie Stanley, nose tackle Brandon Williams, and defensive end Derek Wolfe. So I see one offensive guy on that list and 7 defensive guys. That's not looking pretty for Sunday.
The only thing I have to say about that is they play the Lions. So are we really that worried?
We've seen the Lions put up like 30 plus points on the Niners, and we saw them look good for a half against your Packers. So if this is an injured defense, I don't know. I think TJ is probably my top guy, right? Like Hawkinson could have a field day.
Yep, I think TJ Hawkinson is probably the tight end 3 on the week. He would make a case for tight end 1, but the other guys in front of him are in elite matchups as usual. So again, I want to take advantage of any single tight end that's going up against Patrick Queen, as long as the rest of this defense is banged up. So I can actually get on board with a few of these plays. Again, their wide receiver depth is going to be a thing that haunts them all season long, and the tight end should be fine. The running back should be all right too.
You might have just seen me on stream look to the side and then visibly my jaw drop because I saw our AP Kai say that TJ Hawkinson is the new and improved George Kittle. And as I'm wearing my George Kittle jersey, that hurts a little bit. And I think that is terribly false. I think that is a absolutely awful take by Kai. He has a lot of good takes, but that's certainly a bad one. The second piece of news that we got is that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be a game time decision for this Sunday, according to Cliff Kingsbury. That's big, man. That's something
huge.
that I did not expect to see anything about that, but now that we're seeing it, maybe it makes last week make a little bit more sense. Maybe he got injured on Sunday and had those 4 targets and didn't get a lot of involvement in the game. I don't know. But this is certainly interesting. It's definitely going to play into them when they face off against the Jags. Who does this benefit the most if we do see DeAndre Hopkins sit?
Benefits a lot of guys. It benefits Chase Edmonds in the passing game. It benefits Christian Kirk, AJ Green, Rondale Moore. I like the shares of Rondale Moore a lot more now. We talked about him last night on the Week 3 on the RotoRadar podcast. So if you guys have not checked that out yet, that is currently available for you guys. We recorded it last night pretty late. That's interesting because now Kyler becomes a little bit... does he become a better play in terms of rushing?
Yes. I thought you were about to say he's a worse play. He's not a worse
play. No, I think he's a better play because of this.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he is a better play because of it. It just makes me... I was already on the Kyler side of him versus Lamar. I know we're kind of back and forth on this, Jared. I know you're on the Lamar side right now, but I think this just improves the point that I think Kyler's the best QB on the week.
As long as he's healthy, and that's the difference. That's the difference between Lamar and him, as long as he's healthy. So with Hopkins out, I would say that the Cardinals still have a clear path to victory. They'll probably drop a half point, maybe a full point, and get this thing closer to 6 or 7. But that means that Kyler has to have more designed runs. They're not going to be able. They don't have the personnel to just interchange Hopkins with somebody else and have them take a Hopkins role. They're going to have to figure this out with the guys that they have available, which again means Rondale Moore probably gets some more short and close work, And Josh, I think that they're going to actually kind of revert to this kind of just I don't know, it's not a light bulb moment, but I think that they could revert back to what they did a little bit last season and give Kyler more chances to run in the script.
Yeah, I can definitely buy into it. I can definitely see the reasoning behind it, and I think it's kind of sharp. So I don't know, something to consider this week for sure. I'll make sure to keep an eye out for any other injury news that we do get. But that one's certainly the most interesting
Yeah,
piece we've gotten so far.
and if he's in, I would think he would be a decoy of some sort. So if they had to sit him 1 week to get ready for another week, it's a long season. I would feel like if there's any hesitation at all, Hopkins would not be playing. This kind of seems like a Kyler 2+ touchdowns on the ground kind of game to me. Honestly, at first glance, if that were to happen, but I guess we won't know that news until Sunday morning.
Yep, for sure.
That makes things really interesting, actually. But we'll have that for you later tonight in our articles because so in season long, I guess I do have Hopkins in a few leagues as well, as I'm sure a lot of you guys in the chat do too. What do you do here? Do you just wait until Sunday and hope for the best? Or do you try to figure things out and maybe make a trade offer or something to get by?
I think you have to wait for that news on Sunday
Yeah.
and just hold out hope. I mean, at the end of the day, like, hopefully you have another wide receiver on your bench. Hopefully you're not limited to just Hopkins and you have no one else. If you guys have Hopkins and have some concerns and want to look at the waiver wire to possibly get another wide receiver just in case, then you can hit us with some ideas of who's available on your waiver wire, and we're more than happy to answer some of those questions because I'm sure you guys have some good guys left on your waiver wire. I find myself looking through my leagues and just seeing that the waiver wire is absolute garbage every week.
It is. Yeah.
I personally don't have anyone because everyone that I play with is super sharp. But in those family and friends leagues, there's sometimes those people who leave those guys up that should be on your roster, should be at least considered, especially if you have an injury like this, hurting your team in week 3.
Do we want to just go take a second and rank the Cardinals players in the chat for you guys? I think that's probably a smart idea for us to do. Can we? So the first spot for me, if Hopkins is out, let's say I think the first spot's in between Chase Edmonds or Rondale Moore, but I'm not sure if I can take Moore over Edmonds right now.
Yeah, I think I'd slightly lean with Chase Edmonds, honestly. And I really like the spot for Edmonds too. So I think I'd lean with Edmonds. I would go Rondale Moore after that. I don't know. It's really close between Green and Kirk for me. And then I feel like there's a lot of guys in play, right? Like you could probably name 6 guys here that could actually be in a DFS roster this week.
Yep.
Whether it be the 6 guys that I'm thinking of, by the way, Chase Edmonds, Rondale Moore, AJ Green, Christian Kirk, Max Williams, and James Conner. I think all 6 could be in play against this Jags team.
They're definitely all in play. I know Hopkins didn't get a lot of targets last week, but that's still possibly double-digit targets getting spread around everywhere else. And obviously, I don't know. I know we're talking a little bit of defense here, but for season long, if you have any of those Cardinals players, I think that you can start all of them, honestly. Maybe not James Conner, but you can, if you have to, you can start him too.
For sure.
James Conner is going to have a day one of these days, and it's going to be in a spot where we don't necessarily imagine him having it, so I don't think it's going to be this week, but it easily could be any of these weeks. Yeah. CMC getting injured fucked me. It fucked a lot of people who had taken him number 1 overall. That's for sure. Yeah, CMC out for a few weeks. Yep. The Moores are starting to be in play everywhere, guys. If you have a guy with the last name Moore, he's going to have a lot of work the next couple of weeks here.
I love it.
DJ Moore looked fantastic last night. We were all over that play even before the Christian McCaffrey injury. He still had 10 FanDuel points, Josh, in the first quarter before even getting injured, or CMC getting injured. So he was the dude yesterday. I don't know what's up with Robbie Anderson. Still have yet to figure that out. Maybe it's a chemistry thing, but I know I had Robbie Anderson in my league last night. What do we do with him moving forward now that CMC's out?
Man, it's tough. I feel like, I don't know how I feel about any of these Carolina guys, in all honesty. I talked about it on the morning show. It's less of a fact that, people are in play because of this, and more that I think it just makes everyone's job more difficult in that offense. I mean, like we said, like you said on the morning after show, I want to make sure to give you credit. It does. CMC does a great job of taking the pressure off of Sam Darnold, off of Robbie Anderson, off of everyone else in that offense. And now that he's gone, I don't think Chuba does the same thing. So I
Correct.
I feel concerned about that offense. I don't know if I'm going to be. I think it's going to be a wait and see approach for me on that offense.
Yeah, neither Chuba nor Royce Freeman have, I think, the upside or even the capacity to take on a CMC role. We'll see what happens moving forward. But the guy that benefited the most last night was Sam Darnold. I don't think we're going to see that be the direct benefit every single week, but I do think that they now have to shift how they are approaching things. And they weren't passing very often when CMC was getting the 28 to 30 touches, but they had to pass last night for the majority of the second half until they got a comfortable lead. So we'll see how that goes. Very scared for Robbie Anderson moving forward, although I do think this helps him a tad. I don't know. For me, we used to have this conversation. We have it with the Vikings receivers and the Seahawks receivers. We used to have it with the Carolina receivers. Um, but honestly, I think that the path is very, very clear right now. It's DJ Moore's team, and even Terrace Marshall actually got in the end zone yesterday too. So Robbie, I don't know. I don't know where I stand with Robbie right now.
Neither do I. It's going to certainly be interesting to see what happens with Robbie, see if he maybe gets more targets. But that's the thing, right? He doesn't really have a large percentage of that target share. I don't know if you have it in front of you, Jared, or if you could get it in front of you very quickly. But I'd be interested to see what his target share percentage is so far throughout the season, because it has to be like, I don't even, I'm sure maybe just barely double digits, like 10%, 11%, maybe less. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now. I know DJ Moore had a 28% target share through 2 weeks. Let's see what it was through this week because he got double digit ones again. Obviously, McCaffrey. Oh, that doesn't have it updated from last night. So that's, oh, wait, no. Yes, it does. Um, Targets here, and wish this would update a little bit faster. Sorry, guys. Yeah, Robbie Anderson's sitting with a 15% target share. So
So a little bit more than I thought, but still not a very large amount. So
not
he's
good.
very touchdown dependent at this point. Very dependent on those long bombs. And again, I think it's even tougher to get those long bombs without CMC in the offense. So going to be interesting to keep an eye on whether I know they said that he's going to be missing a few weeks now. We know that for sure, but it's just dependent on how many weeks.
Exactly. Now, I mean, I saw 3, but again, we went through their schedule. They may or may not bring him back at that time. And obviously, hamstrings are pretty delicate, especially when you get injured in week 3. So,
Yep.
all right. So, Moore, yep, Bears 14 said Moore won us the slate on both sites. That is correct. He was a beast last night. John says Josh is probably hoping Hopkins doesn't play since I have him against Josh this week. That's an
Yeah,
interesting way to go.
honestly, didn't notice that you were against me this week, and didn't know you had DeAndre Hopkins. So now that I do know, maybe, but I don't root on injuries. I'd rather just beat you fair and square because I know I can.
Cardenas says, "Is Green Bay really plus 3.5? That's an easy smash spot." uh,
I don't think it's as easy as you're saying it is.
I don't know.
I would agree. I would side that way, but I don't think it's a smash spot necessarily.
I I don't like the number. I don't like it, and I'm not going to be betting it myself. I don't feel good about them going into San Francisco because it hasn't worked out well in Aaron Rodgers' career. Uh, Now I know that they played them in a neutral site 2 years ago or last year, so that was a little bit different. Actually, did they play in Green Bay last year? I don't remember. Something like that. But I don't know, they just never seem to play very well in San Francisco at all. And that maybe has to come down to Rodgers still holding some sort of grudge. That was the team he was supposed to be on.
Yeah,
But who knows? I don't know. But
I don't know.
I don't want to touch the number. I actually don't even like. The only reason that I would bet on the Packers is because of this show and me being on it. So
Yeah. Man, this would have been a lot more interesting of a matchup if you guys traded us Rodgers in the offseason. This
well, it
would have been
wouldn't have been close.
blast. Yeah, well, obviously it would have been close, but it would have been a good time to watch.
For you, I guess.
Yeah, for me.
All right. Thoughts on AJ Brown this week. Let's see. Not a great matchup on paper against the Colts. So, I don't know. Do you have any interest in AJ Brown for season long? I wasn't really a guy I was drafting. Wasn't really drafting Julio Jones either. So, how did you approach that this season in your drafts? And if you have any shares of these guys, are you rolling them out there against the Colts just because they are probably your wide receiver 1 or 2?
Yeah, I don't think I'm rolling out. I mean, it all depends on your options, right? That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. But these guys don't have. Hold on, I'm pulling up matchups right now because I can't remember off the top of my head. I mean, he has an okay matchup. The drop thing is kind of the issue for me. Like the drops have been insane throughout the first 2 weeks. I think he had six. He had 6 targets where he didn't get a reception last week. So,
Mhm.
I think he's a great buy right now in fantasy. You can get him at a super cheap price tag,
Yeah.
and if that offense does pick up, then you're going to feel very happy with that buy. The problem is in this matchup is that I'm really not sure how much time Tannehill will have in the pocket. This is a very competent front seven with the Colts, an amazing D line, and Darius Leonard is the Mike linebacker, and this offensive line has looked awful for the Titans this season. So I think that not this week, but I'm willing to buy Brown low in most of my fantasy leagues.
Agreed. This is a guy, both of them, well, not Julio so much. You were getting Julio in the third round, but AJ Brown was going in the top 10 wide receivers. So a little disappointing start to the season, but they'll turn it around.
Yep.
Revenge tour Tom, or that's my quarterback Jalen. So yeah, you have a interesting decision to make whether you want to go Tom Brady against the Rams or you go Jalen Hurts on Monday night against the Cowboys. Also, Josh, the Jalen Hurts will be going home technically, since that's kind of where he used to live growing up.
See, that's a little bit of juice. I still lean with Brady, in
Yeah,
all honest. Well, I say that we got the news recently that Brown is most likely not going to play. I don't know. It probably doesn't affect him. I think I slightly lean with Brady, but I think it's super close.
yeah. For me, that just means that there's more concentrated targets for Brady, which he already has been known um, either to hone in on one guy or be able to spread it out between 8 guys. So we do actually have some breaking news, not from this game, but from one of our best games on the slate. I'll actually break this one.
Uh,
Russell Gage out for week 3 against the Giants, Josh.
Olamide Zacchaeus in play. No, not really. But Calvin Ridley's certainly in play. And I don't know, does this make Pitts a better play too?
Makes Pitts a better play, makes Ridley a better play. I don't think that they have the personnel to guard either of those guys just for how they're shaped and what their body types are. Also gives me a little bit of more interest in a guy like Mike Davis. We'll talk about Cordero Patterson here in a little bit again, but give me some of these pass catchers so that frees up, I don't know, frees up like 5 to 7 targets. So I wouldn't necessarily try to make one of those guys, whether it be Hardy, whether it be Zacchaeus, whether it be any of the other guys in the depth chart. But I think it's clearly Pitts and Ridley, and then you kind of have to see where the rest of your roster's at. Like I don't know if you have Mike Davis, I think he's an interesting flex option this week. Maybe you're deep enough where maybe you're not deep enough where you just don't have the depth and you have to roll him out as an RB2. I still think that's a solid option this week.
Yeah, me. I'm that guy who has to roll him out as an RB2 in a dynasty league this week. But hey, there's I don't know. Actually, that's not true. Who would you consider my RB2, Jerry? Damian Harris or Mike Davis?
Harris.
Yeah. So maybe a flex option then. I don't know. Here are my flex options for that league, just so you guys can get an idea. I'm actually pretty loaded in this league. I have to decide between Rodgers or Hurts, which is going to be a tough decision for me
Mm-hmm.
because I really don't want to see Aaron Rodgers decimate my team. But My flex options this week, I have Julio Jones, um, Kenny Galladay, Mike Davis, and I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So,
Okay.
not the best, but hey, I'm 2-0 in this league because my defense keeps carrying me. My defense had, let me find it. My defense last week gave me like 60 plus fantasy points in total.
Wow.
Hold on.
Do you have
Yeah,
Buffalo?
no, 99 points total. No, this is an IDP league.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
So I
Yeah.
had Daniel Hunter, who had 3 sacks. I had Tyrann Mathieu, who returned a touchdown. I had Demario Davis, who had like 13 tackles last week. My defense was absolutely stacked last week.
Speaking of stacks, we got to go over and look at the dynasty now. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we'll review the league here. Let's see. Did I have anybody? Well, first we'll look at who actually had players from last night. Josh, I'm 1-1 in the dynasty, as are you.
Yes,
And
sir.
let's see. What is I want to see where Sean's at. Why can't I find him?
Sean's
Oh,
0
he's
2
there. He's 0-2. Okay.
because he doesn't know how to take Deshaun Watson out of his lineup.
All right.
That's crazy. He had the Aaron Jones game last week and still wasn't able to win.
Ooh, it's rough.
Freaking fish.
Let's go. Let's go team by team here, and start with my team against Christians, the Michael Scott Paper Company versus team I declare bankruptcy. So both of our teams are office
The
related.
office matchup.
It's the office
Let's
matchup.
go.
It also is expected to be very close. I have Joe Burrow against Pittsburgh. He has Taylor Heineke against Buffalo. They're pretty much predicted the same points. Josh, interesting thing here. Obviously, Saquon is still questionable. Sleeper has his PPR point outcome at 18.5. That's a little bit different than where we had him on the podcast last night. So, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, that's a pretty juicy total right there from Sleeper. I think Sleeper kind of takes into the account that he's been getting more touches recently. He's been looking a little bit better. Probably, yards per carry looks better because of that big run. So I bet that's why they have him at this mark. And also probably the weak defense too has something to play into it. I still don't know if I'm going to end up with. I don't think of Saquon that highly. Like they have Saquon out projecting. Let's see. Running backs, not free agents, just everyone. Projections. They have him as the 6th highest projected running back.
Yeah.
On the slate.
That's what I'm seeing too from a DFS standpoint. So
that's a little too high.
I think it's a little bit too high as well. But we'll see. I mean, it's very interesting. We'll have to see what happens with Evan Ingram too, if he's trending out this week. Obviously, you said Kenny G is dealing with something as well. So we'll see what's going on with that. I think that 19 PPR points is a little bit too high for Barkley, but he could definitely break out in this spot. I have to rely on my RB2 of Nyheim Hines against Tennessee, and he has James Robinson against Arizona, which is also oof.
Yeah.
And then, I have Calvin Ridley and Amari Cooper, who actually is dealing with a bruised rib, if I remember correctly. So we'll see if he's good to go Monday night. Outside of that, I mean, it's looking pretty close everywhere. He does have A.J. Brown in his flex. A.J. Green should get a bump up if, for some reason, DeAndre Hopkins misses. And Josh, if you haven't noticed, there's a lot of questionable receivers on the Denver Broncos. So I know you had that Cortland Sutton take last night. This could be a spot where he goes extremely under-owned against the Jets.
Yeah, and it's a good spot for him. So I truly do like it. I will say you have Deandre Johnson, also a questionable guy on your team. And I saw the report. He missed his 2nd straight practice yesterday.
Yep.
So it's going to really require a full effort for it to get him out today. But if he's out today, then it's probably looking a little bit better. I don't know. It's going to be close for that game. I think Cooper's going to be better off. I think Cooper's going to end up being just fine. But let's talk about your bench and talk about what are you going to do if Deontay Johnson doesn't play?
I don't know.
At
That's
least you're honest.
Gabriel Davis is questionable, which is also sucky. Brian Edwards would probably be the guy I plug in. I don't really want to take Elijah Moore against Denver. And John Brown doesn't play for any team, so that's always fun. Um,
Yeah.
Brian Edwards is probably my only choice. If I'm desperate, I would probably try to swap Waller in there. I do have MVS2 who put up a massive 0 on Monday night, so that was fun. I think that's one of the reasons I actually lost last week. So
Nice.
that was really cool to see. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, I basically need Burrow to have a better game than Heineke, and a lot of other things to go my way for this to work out. Even though I'm already a 5-point favorite here.
Yeah, I don't know if I buy into the 5-point favorite.
Yeah,
I
I
think
don't
if I
either.
had to choose one side, I think I'm on the underdog in Cardenas.
Yeah, I'm not happy with it right now. Deramified says Sutton's gonna smash. Javante week this week, says Kai. Both of those could happen.
I think Javante week is very true. I think this could be the spot. This could be your last opportunity to buy low on Javante. So, take it for what it's worth.
Okay, we're going to talk about Sean going up against Grace to You. Not going to talk about this one too long, but let's. I don't. Does he have a quarterback on his roster? I don't think he does. No, because it was Tyrod Taylor, so that's fun. Anyway,
Look, if you're smart, go pick up every single. There's only 2 QBs right now. It's Jacoby. Actually, there's only 1 QB right now. It's Jacoby Brissett. Grace to you. If you're listening to this, take the opportunity. You have an empty bench spot. I can see it. Just go pick up Jacoby Brissett and lock in your win against Sean.
yeah, I like these plays a lot on this side. Has Pitts, and then he also has. I'll make sure that you take care of Hasty on your bench there too if you're listening. Um, Zacchaeus is on this team too. I wouldn't. I don't think he garners a roster spot for you just because of your depth. So I would stay away from the Zacchaeus play, even though I do think he's on the field more in those wide receiver 3 sets. For me, I think you're in a good spot. And I want to go ahead and take this opportunity now. First, I got to move Keith out of the way before he messes everything up. And second, I want to take this opportunity to bring in our AP Kai to talk about his matchup. So Kai, take yourself off mute here and let's talk your matchup against Keith, Mr. Team Pitbulls.
I don't like the spread on there.
Yeah, right now you're 14 points ahead of Keith at the moment. None of you have had any guys that have played yet. Let's see. You have Jalen Hurts on Monday night, and Lamar Jackson as a questionable tag is Keith's QB against Detroit. Smash spot for both of you in this regard. I do like your running backs better from first glance. I think that Henry and Najee Harris clearly are better than both Devin Singletary and Kareem Hunt this week. I don't know. I mean, where do you feel like you're uncomfortable? Is it the wide receiver spots? I think that his wide receiver spots are just a tiny bit better.
Yeah, the big thing for me right now is um, Allen Robinson. The air yards haven't been there. Nagy is just a horrible coach who refuses to use Allen Robinson in an Allen Robinson way. Uh, and against a good Cleveland defense, that they should trail for most of the game. So pass attempts will be there. Uh, and it would be a dart throw if I go me, Cole, or Osborne. So probably standing pat there. Just got to figure out what I want to do at quarterback and hope that he doesn't get a fall in touchdown out of Ronald Jones or Singletary,
Yeah,
and that should be pretty.
I think you're right. I like his Mike Williams play against Kansas City. Devontae Parker, not as good of a play anymore now with Jacoby Brissett there. I like your stack of him, Hurts and Devontae Smith. You also have Damian Harris, who is questionable, but I think down the season, down the line, should make you in a good spot. And Denver against New York is a fantastic matchup on paper for the defense. Josh, I mean, does Kai have any reason to be scared as a 14-point favorite right now?
I don't think so. I think it is closer to that 14-point spread. Um, just because he does have really good wide receivers and Lamar can absolutely go off in this spot. But I still favor Kai at the end of the day. I think overall you have the stronger team, especially, I mean, the running backs kind of win it for you single-handedly almost. Najee hopefully has a good week. Derrick Henry should have a decent week, and then Damian Harris as well. So I think you're in a good spot.
My
D-Ram,
boy,
if... Oh, go ahead.
I said my boy Marvin Jones leading the way.
Heck yeah.
He has been carrying you. That's for sure. I mean, having Marvin Jones as a flex option and doing so well right now, especially in this league, is definitely amazing. Especially with the depth, like the lack of depth that we have in this league, it's actually pretty crazy. KB Pitt says someone's going down. I'm just saying. Oh, he's calling back. You need a lot of things to fall in your favor, Keith. But starting with Lamar, I think would be your best bet. Now, I want to get something addressed in the chat and just make sure that everybody knows that. Forgive me if I'm wrong here, but I don't believe Jackson is sick at all. I think it's just the hip injury. Is there an additional sickness, Josh?
Well, there was a sickness yesterday. They said he missed practice because of a stomach bug, even though he said the day before that it was because that his hip was sore from the leap into the end zone. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's back and forth with Lamar. I don't think he knows what he's sitting out with.
I would agree. We just got the news now, and I want to. The parentheses part's funny, but
Yeah.
Lamar did return to practice today, so he's going to be either limited or full participant for this weekend. And the parentheses says little stomach bug, so
Just a little.
just a little.
Just a little.
At least it's not
Not
everything.
big. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it could be everything. So, count your lucky stars, Lamar.
Yeah. Obviously, great matchup, regardless if he's sick or not. But yeah, need to keep moving forward on this one. Let's talk about the next matchup here that we have, and we'll start rolling through these other ones because I know we have to get to yours too. So right now we have Brady Bunch against Chris, Giannis for Prez, and Brady Bunch. It's probably his week's over. I shouldn't say already, but he had a 1.8 point performance from Robbie Anderson last night. One reception out of 2 targets, Josh. 2 targets all day for Robbie Anderson. That's very depressing. It wouldn't be Lamar without him needing to take a dump. Yeah, I mean, he can't afford to take a dump right now. His entire team's hurt. The wide receivers are pretty one-sided, in my opinion. Tyler Lockett, Mike Evans, and Gronkowski, Fant, Beasley. Maybe not as uneven as I thought. He does have Sterling Shepard, Keenan Allen, and Jalen Reagor. Outside of that, though, I think I lean with the Brady Bunch, the Chris side of things here, because I think Mahomes has a better matchup against LA than Tanny does against the Indianapolis Colts. And Josh and I are both down on Tannehill until further notice, until they actually get that going. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it plays out. But I think Chris actually has the ability to be 3-0 on the league. So now it looks like we have 2 3-0 teams, because I think that Grace to You goes and takes care of Sean pretty easily.
Yeah. I like where Chris is at. I think that there's a ton of holes that you can poke in the Brady Bunch lineup. We talked about Tannehill, huge hole already. We also have Zeke in here too, who I just don't know if I can trust right now. Then you have Evans and Gronk. They negatively correlate putting them together. So like I don't like having those two in the same lineup. And then obviously you had the Robbie Anderson thing, which did not work out well for him in this week. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Through 3 games, Robbie Anderson has a total of 5 receptions and has a total of doing math 11 targets. So almost 4, less than 4 targets a game right now is not what you wanted to see from Robbie Anderson when you probably drafted him.
Not at all, because we were honestly thinking towards the end of the season that he might have been the team's wide receiver 1 coming into the year. And he just seems to, I don't know. I don't know what it is necessarily, whether it's McCaffrey, whether it's DJ Moore just taking that next step. That could be definitely it. Terrace Marshall always comes in the mix there, and they have 2 tight ends that they run. So lots of mouths to feed, and Sam Darnold, I don't think, can necessarily support more than 2 receivers now that Christian McCaffrey's gone there's another spot for him to make up for that. But very interesting to see what's going to happen with Robbie as the season goes on. Let's talk about your matchup, Josh, against John's. John's waited in the chat for this one. Right now, he has the slight 8-point lead over you. Neither of you guys had players that played last night. I don't think anybody had bench players either. Nope. So, talk to me about this week. Talk to me about this matchup, and what are you needing here?
Yeah, I'm gonna need a good week from. I think it comes down to my last two flex spots in Drake and Komet, or maybe one of my other guys from my bench making this spot instead. I mean, I have Mooney on my bench and I have Ayuk on my bench. I think either one of them could potentially sneak into the starting lineup come Sunday morning. But I just switched out Daniel Jones for Baker Mayfield. I've already talked about how I think Daniel Jones could be one of the top guys on the slate. He could end up being a top 3 QB this week just because of his upside against Atlanta. So I like that I have Daniel Jones in this spot. I like both of my running backs in Chubb and Carson. I think Carson could have a really good game against this Minnesota terrible run defense. And I think Chubb is always in line for good games. And then I feel good about Robert Woods against Tampa. We know that's going to be a very high scoring game. I feel good about Jamar Chase because he has been so good this season. Talked about how TJ Hawkinson has been in amazing spots recently, and this is no different against Baltimore. Then I just need Pittman to come through against a bad defense. So I feel confident in this matchup. I feel like I'm in a really good spot. Not to say that John isn't, because you can go through his lineup too and say, like, a lot of these guys are in good spots as well. But I feel confident with where I'm at.
The biggest concern that I have here is the DeAndre Hopkins injury, because it would surely swing things a little bit, and that would force John to move probably McLaurin into the wide receiver spot and have one of his flex options go into play here. And he does have some viable options. Tony Jones is in a tough matchup. Zach Moss, tough matchup. Scotty Miller could see more playing time if Antonio Brown does miss this game. And then that's kind of where I would stop with that. So an interesting move will need to be made there, if that's the case on Sunday morning. But we probably won't. This feels like we're not going to hear this news until 10:30 on Sunday morning.
Yeah, it's going to be something to watch out for with Hopkins. I want to take a look at the taxi squads for both of these teams. You can't look at it when you're in the matchups, but if you go to league and then click on the team in the standings, you can see that John has Hubbard on his taxi squad, and I have is this the team that I have? Yeah, I have Michael Carter in my taxi squad. So both of us have running backs that are probably going to be in decent spots this week, or at least he had him in a decent spot this week, and we'll see what Carter can do. But I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I also have Elijah Mitchell on my taxi squad. So, my taxi squad is just filled with good running backs.
Yeah. I mean, Hubbard definitely looked into it a little bit here. I still don't necessarily think that this is a CMC light situation like we had with Mike Davis last year.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that way. We saw that they were going to use Royce Freeman. We saw that they put Chuba Hubbard in as the main back there, but I think it's going to be a 60-40 split as things move along. Got to remember that Hubbard is a rookie coming into this game, or coming into this next week, so we'll see how it goes. But again, I don't think it's anywhere close to what CMC brings to the table. So
For sure.
moving down the list, we got two more to talk about. I don't know if Anthony's on, but if you are, feel free to comment on how your season's going so far. Otherwise, I will comment for you, and I don't have anything much nice to say. So he did luck out, or he's had some extreme bad luck in the Dynasty League so far. Had Cam Akers out for the season, I think he had J.K. Dobbins also out for the season. Now he has Tua that's out. Marquise Brown's been dealing with injuries. Josh Jacobs has been out of the lineup. Darrell Henderson's hurt. Does not have a lot of... and I think that his IR spots are full, Josh. And so he has Evan Ingram, who's out. Trey Sermon was battling with injury. I would think that you could... Josh Jacobs, I don't have a good feeling he's playing again. I think he's going to be sitting out again against Miami in a spot where the Raiders should be able to handle things pretty easily. Do you want to touch on the breaking news? I know we haven't found Cook's team yet, so maybe we'll wait for the last matchup to touch on Dalvin Cook. But we'll anything you can see here between Biggie and Anthony.
Yeah, what I do see is that Anthony needs to start going and acquiring those first round draft picks from other teams.
For
Those
next year.
competing teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, for next season because that's the type of spot that you're in now, man. I mean, embrace the rebuild because honestly, you're in a really good spot next season when you have Akers back and hopefully have Raheem back and you have Trey. I mean, you don't have a bad team necessarily, but if you sell out now for those first round picks, you could be in a really good spot come draft time
Yeah.
this next season. So I would go after some draft spots here.
Play the long game. Yep, I agree.
Oh.
Team link equals team injured reserved. Yes, 100% correct. Kai, ready for a trade? Yeah, I think that Anthony will do that for sure. Let's see. I was going to say
Oh
something,
no,
but I forgot.
Anthony is stingy with his trades, man.
That's true.
I've offered this guy like 3 trades for Trey Sermon, and I have not got anything back from him. So you'll see, man. I hope you get a deal done, Kai.
This is what I was going to say. I wanted to see what Cincinnati's practice report looks like today, as T. Higgins is doubtful coming into Friday. So that's interesting.
Doubtful.
Yeah, that kind of snuck up on me against Pittsburgh. So I don't know. For season long, we can talk about it for DFS a little bit later. But for season long, I mean, if you have you're starting, you're must starting Jamar Chase if you have him, and if you have Tyler Boyd, you can make him a flex play. So, yeah, T. Higgins being doubtful is very interesting. That's not something I thought we saw earlier in the week. I think this must have just come up later.
It must have came up recently because I thought like just a little bit ago. I thought yesterday they were saying that T. Higgins was going to be good to go. So I'm honestly kind of shocked that he's doubtful. But you know, it's an important point to bring up this Cincy team and realize that Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd are probably in phenomenal spots.
Yeah, don't forget about Joe Mixon as well. He should be in a spot where he could touch the ball close to 25 to 28 times. Let's see. These teams might have the player that. Yep, exactly. This is why I wanted to wait for this conversation because Eric is taking on Craig. Eric Sports against Team Slingshot this week. Slingshot had a obviously bummer night from McCaffrey last night with the injury, and he has Clyde Edwards-Helaire against the Chargers, who I think is a little bit overrated for this spot. The news that is going to break this matchup is the fact that Dalvin Cook, Josh, was not seen at Friday practice.
No. Certainly going to be interesting. I know they have him listed as questionable right now, but I don't know if I can buy into that. I think probably very questionable is better off. I mean, he's missed. This is his 3rd straight practice, right?
That he hasn't had practice this week in public at least.
Yeah. So if he hasn't practiced 3 straight times, I mean, I just don't see it happening. I don't know. We'll have to see. If he does play, I think he will be extremely limited, and it makes the point of who has Alexander Madison.
That's the question.
A
that could be the question of the week for fantasy. It could be the question of the week for DFS too.
Guess who has him? Don't look anywhere.
Oh,
Just
I would guess.
Who has him.
Yeah, Sean probably has him.
No, even better. Slingshot has Madison. So you have Alexander Madison on the bench for Slingshot right now.
Oh no,
that could be the swinging point, man. That could be it.
That could easily be it. He does have. Oh man, that's rough. Rondale Moore's on Eric's side, but yeah, he also has Tebow. That's funny. Anyway, that's interesting. That could easily change things up. I don't know why Slingshot has CeeDee Lamb on his bench, but that needs to change. So
he also started Phillip Lindsay, so I don't know. Maybe it's
oof.
Maybe Slingshot's already out of this one.
He did have Brandon Cooks last night, so that was good.
Yeah.
I think he's out of this one though. A lot of exposure to last night's game that didn't go his way. Yeah, the Dalvin Cook thing, guys, is probably what would you rate as a spot that you'd want to freak out more in, Hopkins or Dalvin Cook?
Dalvin Cook for sure. At least the Hopkins news came out of the blue, right? It wasn't expected. I think he still logged practices most likely this week. With Cook, he didn't log a single practice out of the 3. So I'm definitely more scared if I'm a Cook owner right now.
I would agree with that. You're also probably taking him number 2 overall, whereas in Hopkins, he might not be a first round pick for you. So that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go and look at the $250 buy-in, as I know that this league is very competitive. As you can see, it didn't start out very well for me. I had Robbie Anderson in this league too, and it's not going to go well. I think I'm going to probably end up being 1-2 in this one, Josh. T. Higgins is in my lineup right now, so that's fun. And
Oh,
then
jeez.
I have, I have just I don't know. I regret taking the quarterbacks that I took for this league. I have Trey
Yeah.
Lance and I have Trevor Lawrence. Neither have looked fantastic or even close to that. And my bench is just
Hey,
garbage. So.
if you want some Jameis Winston, he's here. You can come pick him up from me. Honestly, I don't know. Heineke might not be a bad option for you, in all honesty, or someone off the waiver wire might not be a bad option.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this. The one saving grace that I could have here would be the fact that Dalvin Cook doesn't play, but that would require a lot of good plays from my guys and explosion spots from at least two of them. Can they do it? Sure. But he has a really good wide receiver roster right now. And yeah, all of his wide receivers are in good spots. So that's fun. He also has Thielen, who probably is the biggest beneficiary if Cook is out from a season long perspective. So what's up, Bodie? Kai says the last two times the Panthers have started 3-0, they reached the Super Bowl. That's an interesting stat.
There you go.
Ride that until it dies.
Yeah, for sure. Some breaking news that we just got. A little bit of a news dump. We just got a whole bunch of stuff. Wait, how is I don't believe in that. I don't know if I believe quite yet in that doubtful designation for T. Higgins. T. Higgins suited up for today's practice, and Bengals coach Zach Taylor said T. Higgins' shoulder soreness pain level will play into Sunday's availability. Will be checked tomorrow as well. We'll try to give him every second we can give him before he tells us one way or the other. So, I don't know if Higgins is necessarily doubtful quite yet. We'll have to see on that. But we did get a little bit of a dump of news from this Giants camp. Kenny Galladay is questionable for his game against the Falcons, and the same would go for Evan Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
Alongside, last piece of news, Carson Wentz, ankles is the designation, not ankle, ankles, plural, will be a game time decision.
So does that mean that we don't have, does that mean that Saquon was fully cleared?
To my knowledge, yes. I don't see anything about the Giants, Kai. If you can update on us, that for us, that would be awesome. But to my knowledge, currently looks like Saquon is clear and good to go. I would love to know his practice designation today.
John says, should I start Daniel Jones over Justin Herbert? Herbert playing the Chiefs, Daniel Jones playing the Falcons. This one's really close for me, but give me Daniel Jones for the rushing upside.
Wow. Yeah, it's extremely close for me too. It all depends on where you are in your matchup. In my opinion, I think if this seems like a little bit more of a long shot that you're going to win this week, then I'd probably end up taking Daniel Jones just because of his upside is insane. But if it looks like you should win, I'd probably go with the safer option in Herbert. By the way, Saquon not on the injury report. And we just got this little bit about Dalvin Cook from Zimmer. Dalvin Cook is doing much better, according to Mike Zimmer. So maybe I'm freaking out for no reason. Maybe there's no reason to worry.
That sounds like a bunch of smoke.
Sounds like a lot of coach talk to me.
Yeah, Mike Zimmer is not a guy that's going to say, because yesterday he said something like he's doing better or he's doing good, but that doesn't mean that he's good to go or something like that. I don't know. It was something stupid. The guy against him already has DJ Moore and Carolina's defense. Yep, it would be time to take out the Daniel Jones train and hope he gets 30 points here.
Time to take out your wild card factor and try to get this win, buddy.
Yep. Okay, let's move on and talk about this league really quickly and go a little bit faster here because we got to hit one more league after this. Who won last week? Oh, Sean won last week's matchup for the okay. All right, good for him.
Yep.
All right, so he's 2-0, you're 2-0, and Secor is 2-0, along with Reup, who somehow beat me last week with the oldest roster in the league. And I have no words for that. He said Dalvin is improved but not good to go yet. Okay, well, we'll have to monitor that. That's actually probably the biggest news of the weekend so far. John says,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry, we keep getting more Saquon quotes, and so I keep feeling like, or not Saquon quotes, Dalvin Cook quotes, and I feel like I had to keep talking about it.
Go ahead.
Zimmer also said, "quote unquote," he did some work at practice, and we'll see if he ends up playing. So
That sounds more like it.
yeah, that sounds a lot closer to what I was expecting to hear about Dalvin Cook. So I don't know.
Yeah, Kai, he did beat me because of Gronk, so that's fun. Like a triple slap in the face. Anyway, the yeah, so 50 Shades of Trey, Brian's team is currently 2 points ahead projected from Flash.U's team. So we'll go take over this really quickly. There's a couple games, a couple matchups on this slate, Josh, that I can see already. Like 3 of them are pretty much dead even. So Brian's going to keep rolling with this Herbert and Austin Eckler duo, which actually has worked out for him for the most part. So he also has Najee Harris against Cincinnati. Underrated play there. And then on the other side, Flash has Kamara against New England, which is a tough matchup. Swift against Baltimore, we'll see. He does have Jamar Chase. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, honestly, in my opinion, is one of the biggest busts of the week. So, guys, if you have CEH in your rosters, might be time to start either trading him or trying to find a running back that's going to replace him in the flex, because you shouldn't be playing him right now.
Yeah, flashed at you. Hopefully he's listening. I think you have a prime opportunity to switch out CEH for Javonte Williams, who's on your bench.
Yep, I love it. I love it.
Or Madison, depending on Cook's injury designation, because you have Cook there too, or you have Madison there too. So,
yes, I would definitely make that move. Yeah, this one's pretty even. Kind of just happens. Injuries are going to definitely swing this one way or the other. Let's move on. Let's talk about your matchup for the week against Kevin KJ, who's Brady Bunch 2.0. He had a 20-point performance from Cooks last night, so you are already kind of, I wouldn't say in the hole, but this one just makes it a lot more competitive. So
yeah.
you do have Taylor versus Hines here, so if you can sneak a couple more receptions from Hines this week, that would definitely help your case. Antonio Gibson's big for you this week, as he should do better than Myles Gaskin against the Raiders without Tua. And yeah, I like it. I mean, you obviously get a bump too if for some reason Deandre Johnson's out. So I like your roster quite a bit, and you seem pretty covered on your bases. You already took Antonio Brown out of the game too. Were you starting him before?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I put Edwards in. I don't know if that's going to be final. Probably is, but I also have. I could potentially put Elijah Moore in there, or I could try another week of Ayuk, which I don't think I'm probably going to do that. But I like where I'm at. I think I'm in a solid spot. It's going to be super close because he had Cooks have such a great game. But Woods is a guy that like I don't know how well he'll do. He definitely has the worst matchup compared to Kupp. So I think Kupp is in for another monster week this week against Tampa Bay. I think Kelsey is in for a monster week against the Chargers. I think that Gibson, I don't know if he's in for a monster week, but I think he does better than Gaskin. I think Gaskin is way overinflated with his 13 points right now. And I just need Hines to do something. I need him to get more than what he got last week, which was what? It was 3 points last week. I need him something closer to what he had in week 1 where he had 14.
Agreed. Let's talk about this question here. Tyson Williams versus Myles Gaskin. For me, this one's not really that close. I think that the matchup and the opportunity go both to Tyson Williams. And to that point, if for some reason Lamar is questionable with something, maybe he gets a little bit fewer rush attempts. So I can't guarantee that, but I think that he's in play no matter what, and a better play than Gaskin. Dealing with a terrible offensive line against a very sneakily good defensive line for the Raiders at home with a backup quarterback just screams a terrible, terrible environment for any Miami player.
For sure. I agree. I think Gaskin is going to struggle in this spot. And I mean, we've already seen Gaskin not even, we saw last week he was only able to get 9 touches, I think. 9 or 10.
Yep.
Yeah, it was 9 touches. So, like, your running back 2 is not getting more than 9 touches last week and hasn't got more than 15 touches at all this season. I'm at least a little bit concerned.
Agreed. Okay, so let's move on from this one. I think that you actually do have the upper hand here, even though that sleeper doesn't agree with me. Moving on, we have Team Sharp against Sean's team. Could be Sean's first loss of the season. Sharp got a good performance out of Sam Darnold last night, 2 rushing touchdowns. He actually did not throw a passing touchdown, which probably is the biggest surprise of it all. And now Sean had obviously the injury to Christian McCaffrey. The rest of his team, I mean, he kind of needs Josh Allen and McCaffrey to carry his team for the most part. We'll see if that happens. Yeah, I think the reason that he even won last week in the first place was because of Marquise Brown over Sammy Watkins. So this is going to be a very, very interesting week for him. I don't know if he has anybody on the bench outside of Rondale Moore. Oh, he has Chuba. Of course he has Chuba. That's terrible.
Yeah, he was actually, I mean, it's terrible, right? But it's also good because I think this is the first player that we've seen so far that drafted their handcuffs. So I'll just say that Sean's probably smarter than all of you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I can't deny that at all. He has Cordero Patterson. So here's a question for you down the road: is it even close? Is it Chuba or is it Cordero if he has to choose one running back?
I think it is closer than you would think it would be, especially in PPR formats where Patterson is going to get those points for getting all those catches out of the backfield. I slightly lean with I don't know, it's super close. I slightly lean with Chuba at least at first, but I'm pretty close between the two.
Yeah, we would have to take a look at Atlanta's schedule, but we kind of already know what Carolina's is, and I think that he'll be okay. However, I do think that once Christian comes back, when he comes back, it's we're not going to see much of him at all. So maybe Patterson is the better long-term play. I mean, good for him. He has both. He can choose what he wants to do on a week in, week out basis. But I think Hubbard is probably better for the next 3 weeks, and Patterson's probably better he probably just scores more points outright in the season.
Yep.
D Ramified says, how good is the Bengals defense this week? And it's a totally different question in DFS than it is in season long. If you drafted the Bengals, you probably got them off the waiver wire. I would not really want to roll them out against Pittsburgh, although I do think that they win the line matchup, at least on the offense, or at least on the defensive side of the ball to Pittsburgh's offensive line. Other than that, though, I think this game's close and both teams score 20 plus points, and I don't love the spot. Again, if you drafted the Bengals, you did it in your last round, or if you didn't draft them at all, you picked them up on the waiver wire, and it's a spot start. I would look for a better defense.
I agree.
Let's move down the list here. Let's talk about B. Kent versus Non-Viable Carpet. Another close matchup within 1 point projection. Last night he had DJ Moore, did B. Kent. I believe he also said in the chat that he's bummed CMC is injured because he took so much attention off DJ Moore. What are your thoughts on how this moves? Does this move the defense towards DJ Moore and taking him out of the game?
Yeah, I think it definitely does. I think more importantly, it moves it towards Sam Darnold at the end of the day. So that'll obviously affect DJ Moore. So yeah, I think that does hurt DJ Moore at least a little bit, but we'll have to see.
Here's the Lamar-Kyler Murray matchup. Seems pretty even on paper. Obviously, I think I would side with Murray now that we have the Hopkins news. I think that's honestly one of the biggest pieces of news of the week. And he has an interesting correlation of Murray versus Edmonds. Sleeper has Aaron Jones way too high in projection, in my opinion. I know that he came off a 4-touchdown game, but San Francisco's defense, I don't like to play any running backs against them for the most part. I don't know. How do you view that defensive line for your team?
I think that defensive line is really good. I think you could make an argument that Bosa has been one of the top defensive linemen of the league so far. He has 3 sacks through 2 weeks. He's looked really good. All of our guys have looked really good up front. I think the only benefit that Aaron Jones will have is that Dre Greenlaw is out. So we are a little bit hurt when it comes to our linebacker depth. But the spots that you really want to target against our team are those corners that are pretty inexperienced. So I think it's more likely that like you see Adams have a great week than you see Aaron Jones have a great week.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. And speaking of Adams, Non-Viable Carpet has Adams on the other side. So that'll be very interesting to see how this one plays out. I think your make or break spot here for non-viable carpet is Kyler Murray and Chase Edmonds. If they can both have great games and go off, he should have no problem with the rest of this. And then, question from the chat. Josh, would you rather have Rams D versus the Bucks or Bengals versus the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Would I rather? Can you repeat it again for me?
Would you rather have Rams against Tampa or Bengals versus Pittsburgh?
Ooh, that's rough. I think Bengals probably, but it is close.
Yes, I would agree with that. I mean, this is
Wait,
like the. You said Bengals.
Okay, cool. I thought I said Rams for a
No.
second. I was like, no, Bengals is the right move, I think.
Obviously, the Rams defense is the better defense long term. Make sure you don't drop them. I would probably just switch it out for this week and call it a day.
Yeah.
Okay, moving down the line, we have Team Reup and King Ram. So Reup had an unfortunate day for David Johnson, who is back to doing David Johnson things. 2 carries for 11 yards last night. That's rough. He had Philip Lindsay on his bench, also rough. I don't think that the whole old guy thing is going to work this week, Josh.
You never know, man. It just might. No, I'm kidding. It probably doesn't end up working out. I don't know. Gronk does have a little bit elevated matchup
He does.
Because of Brown being out. So there is that. But at the end of the day, I still think I lean with the other side.
Yeah, he has Kyle Pitts in a spot without Gage. He has Cortland Sutton. He has McLaurin. And obviously Derrick Henry. So, well, this is interesting. We'll see. All right, moving down the list. Last one of the high stakes is Hobby Ray versus Woody. Right now, Woody has a 10-point lead or 10-point favorite. The biggest question marks surrounding this one are the fact that Elijah Mitchell is trending downward and DeAndre Hopkins is also trending downward. So that could put immediate hazard into this situation. I don't see very many people that he could pivot to anyway, as he has Le'Veon. I wouldn't play Mac Jones this week. Singletary is probably your best option, and that's not a good thing. So, yeah. You need the injuries to go your way, definitely, for sure. On the other side, this actually could be an underdog win for Hobby Ray, depending on injuries. Again, tough matchups for Tannehill and James Robinson. Allen Robinson, I'm a little bit afraid of as well with that new start for Justin Fields. Devontae Parker's matchup isn't good, and he also is going to have a backup quarterback there for him. What do you think of Debo this week? Do you think that, because I want to try to find the guy on Sunday night that's going to be guarded by Kevin King. I'm interested to see who is going to be guarded and shadowed by Jair Alexander.
Yeah, me too. I think that you'll potentially see. Man, I don't know what way I side. Whether it's going to be. You'll probably see Jair Alexander on Debo is what I would imagine, and then Ayuk would get King. But if Ayuk gets King, how much playing time is he going to get? Is he going to get enough playing time to actually pay everything off? I'm not really sure. So I don't know. I think it's close.
Historically, King guards the taller and bigger wide receiver, which in this case would be Brandon Ayuk. We saw Kevin King give up the touchdown to Quintez Cephas on Monday night. Kind of called that one. So I think that whoever is projected to line up against Kevin King is going to be exposed. There's already been talks of do we need him because the Packers obviously used a first-round pick on Eric Stokes out of Georgia. So he looked really good in the first couple of games when he was out there. I'm interested to see how it goes. But yeah, Debo has been a weird one to figure out early on. And it just goes to show that, again, I don't think Jimmy G can support more than one wide receiver at a time.
Actually, hold on. I might have just found. Well, they're not going to line up in 11 for most of this. It's probably going to be more 2 running back sets for the Niners. So I was going to say Debo might line up in the slot, and if that's the case, then King is usually that slot guy. Actually, King isn't that slot guy.
No,
Who's your slot
it's usually Chandon Sullivan.
Oh, okay. Well, regardless, I have no clue what's going to happen here when it comes to matchups. There's some games like this, Jared, right? Like there's some games where you can really identify what matchup each guy is going to get. And then there's some games like this Packers and Niners game where I have no effing clue who's going to get who.
Yeah, another game to add to that list of no idea what's going on is Tampa Bay versus the Rams. We don't know who Jalen Ramsey's going to shadow, at least on the Rams defensive side of things. So we'll see how that one plays out. I'm very interested to see that from multiple angles because I have a lot of players from both of those teams. Any news on vouchers, Deramified? They usually come out closer to podcast time at 5 o'clock Eastern. So Sean's already working on that. He put in the request yesterday, and you should be seeing those vouchers later in the afternoon. Josh, apparently the Panthers are working out Duke Johnson. So do you have any news on that?
Yep. Yeah, I was just about to mention something about that. Just we've been talking so much, haven't had the opportunity to. Not only are the Panthers working on Duke Johnson, but we also got the news that the Titans have ruled out Anthony Fursker for this Sunday.
Okay. He didn't play last week either, I think. So for me, that just means that, I don't know, maybe Julio gets a bump up a little bit. Not really, not that much, but
not that much.
Yeah, I mean, Ferkser was a guy that people were touting pretty heavily coming into the year. Has not lived up to that potential. Hasn't really even seen the field at all. So we'll see. Is Duke Johnson a CMC fit? He is not. Duke Johnson is there for veteran presence, probably for Chuba Hubbard, is my guess.
Yeah. And probably just to be that third guy. I don't know if they have a third guy behind Royce.
He's a good pass blocker. Neither of the other guys are. So I'm sure that he will be thrown into the mix, and that makes things just that much uglier for Chuba and Royce Freeman as the season goes along.
For sure.
Okay, let's go and take a look at the lower buy-in league, and we'll be hanging around for about 15 more minutes, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out all week. This is our last on-camera stream for week 3, but we appreciate you guys hanging out for the last 10. Let's see. I'm seeing a lot of, somebody just dropped Le'Veon Bell a couple days ago. That's fun. We're planning for the future. He picked up Jeff Wilson. Okay. Now, for me, I actually look like I can get, this is probably my biggest matchup of the week in terms of how much I'm projected to win by. I do like the fact that I was consistent enough to get Jalen Hurts in this league, and Hopkins is something that I have to deal with as well. So that's fun. Can't wait to swap him out. Can't wait to look at my bench and realize I don't have anybody except for Terrace Marshall. Yeah, I don't have anybody. Maybe I'll have to rely on Elijah Moore, which is always fun. Okay, that's fun. That's cool. I'm facing the guy that had Christian McCaffrey, so I don't feel as bad about this one. League here. Let's take a look at some of these matchups. Anthony is 0-2 in this league and got the 1.8 from Robbie Anderson last night against Grace to You. Injector has a sizable lead over Team Deimi. Double D Cups. I like it. I like the name. Going up against White Claw, No Law Lawrence. That's good too. Good job, guys. Good job. Good job. All right, Josh, you have Return of the Mac this week, Blacknificent, and you have a 10-point lead, and it looks like you got DJ Moore, or no, Brandon Cooks is who you got in this league. So looking pretty good in this one too.
You're I don't have much bench depth in this one, and T. Higgins is my second wide receiver, and I don't know who I'd put in if he did not play. So it's going to be a little bit of a wait and see approach. This was definitely one of my worst drafts on the year. So, I might pick up Zacchaeus from the waiver wire. I might pick up someone else. Who knows? But I am at least a little bit concerned about my matchup.
Yeah, he has both Houston quarterbacks. He also has Antonio Brown on the roster right now. So we'll see if that plays out on Sunday. Also, Dalvin Cook's injury is in this matchup as well. Was the pod made or is it tonight? We actually recorded it last night, Grace to You, so it's now available to be listened back to for the next 48 hours. Moving down the list. To King Void has a sizable lead over Bill, WMCL. Who's undefeated in this league? You are, Injector.
and King Void.
King Void. Okay. So yeah, that's that. Tino's facing King of the North. Another really close matchup. Let's take a look at this. Zanzibar, who's Darren, is also in here. CEH scares me again. The running backs are interesting for both teams. You need a big game out of a few of these guys, and one of them being Jonathan Taylor for sure. Very interesting. Okay. I mean, I can't, like, this one's going to be close. I would definitely stick to your guns, and would you, I mean, you take Baker Mayfield over Justin Fields, right?
Yeah, probably. Not happily, but I'd probably end up going that route.
I feel like that's closer than people give it credit. Even though we were definitely more down on Justin Fields. Is there a scenario where he just shows up out of nowhere, or can we put the past behind us to what we saw last week? I don't know. I really don't know which way to lean with that one.
I lean towards that he's going to struggle, but I mean, I understand. I know there's so much hype around him. Maybe he does pay off that hype this week. I don't think it happens.
Okay, last matchup is Goosty against Derek's team, the Titans. Goosty has Lamar Jackson, so he has to worry about that possibility. I think Lamar will be fine at the end of the day. Anyway, moving forward, Mike Davis and Devin Singletary versus James White and Antonio Gibson. I think I side with the James White Gibson side of things, but it's actually grading out as only 1 point difference, Josh, which is crazy.
Yeah.
He does have Rondale Moore in his wide receiver 2 spot, which is cool to see. And yeah, Emmanuel Sanders, we touched on him the other day, how he has had a sneaky upside to be that wide receiver 2, especially with Gabe Davis being injured. We'll have to see how that goes, what they do against Diggs. I think that they try to double cover Diggs, but again, I mean, Josh Allen's just going to force it to him anyway. So,
yep, for sure.
Yeah, nothing much to see here. All right, we're going to have a lot of interesting things to sweat out this week. All I want to do is just win one league this week. I didn't win any leagues last week at all. So, got clean swept everywhere.
See, it's funny. You didn't win a single league last week, and out of my 9 sleeper leagues that I have, 6 of them being dynasty, 3 of them being redraft, I went 8-1 last week. So, I'm on a really good start to the fantasy season. I'm a happy camper so far.
It just proves,
far being the main point.
Yeah, it just proves like your core group of players, if they can make it or not. Last week for me, I lost so much on Tyreek Hill, and that's the main reason I lost everywhere. So he had a bummer performance, and that's kind of everything snowballed from there. Because if I don't know, for me, I draft all my teams kind of the same way, no matter where I'm at. So yeah, that's always fun. Okay, we'll take about 5 or 6 questions in the chat if you guys have any of your personal start and sit questions, and we can get out of here. But we do have one more FanDuel voucher for the week to give out, and again, that's for the MLB main slate tonight. This afternoon, you'll get the ticket or the voucher. So we'll take about 5 questions, or if we run out of time, we will just get to as many as we can.
For sure. Grace to you is telling us to tell Sean to set a team with players not on IR. I wish he would listen to us and actually do it.
He's taking the other league a lot more serious than the dynasty, but I'm very interested to see what because we could see Deshaun maybe be on a team next year, maybe.
Yeah. Hey, that's what I have in one of my dynasty leagues. I have a super flex league where I drafted Deshaun in the first round before we got that news about Watson. And so I just have him stashed away in that dynasty league, hoping that he goes somewhere next year. In the meantime, I have Davis Mills as one of my QBs. So
okay,
that I'm tanking in this league technically, but I'm 2-0 right now. So it is what it is.
That's great.
Yeah.
Sutton or Chase half PPR, Cortland Sutton or Chase Claypool. Ooh.
Is it Chase Claypool or Jamar Chase?
Oh, even better question.
Yeah.
That's what I need to know.
That's what I need to know too, because I saw that question and I thought Jamar Chase, but you make a good point that it could be Chase Claypool.
Okay, well, while we're waiting for that, who is a week 3 sleeper in season long at the moment? Who's the sleeper for this week? I think it might be some of these Cardinals players. I think it could be Alexander Madison.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, most places are. I don't know. All of our leagues are full, so I always have a hard time figuring this question out because everything that I see is just gone. So.
Some breaking news: Gabe Davis is no longer questionable.
Okay. Okay, so the answer was Jamar Chase. So Jamar Chase versus Cortland Sutton. I don't think it's as close anymore. So give me Cortland Sutton.
Yes, give me Cortland Sutton as well. I was looking at this thing that Kai put in the chat. This is hilarious. All right, so it's this tweet by this guy. His ad is by Kevin Clark, and the tweet is this: "You think the Gase thing is a funny little meme because Tannehill and Darnold improved post Gase, and because the Broncos won the Super Bowl immediately after he left. Then you see he left LSU after 2002, and he won a national title in 2003." And then you realize that Adam Gase's Michigan high school Marshall won the state title in the first season after his 1996 graduation. So just wherever Gase goes after he leaves, there's a ton of success incoming.
So who's on that team now that actually plays better? That had him before. Like I feel like there's just nobody left.
There's nobody left. I feel like I don't know.
Interesting. If Antonio Brown plays, do I go him or Robert Woods?
Antonio Brown will not play, so play Robert Woods.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown is going way down in the fact. Here's the most recent thing about Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown unlikely to play in week 3. The Tampa Bay Bucks wide receiver who tested positive for COVID-19 is unlikely to rejoin the team in time to play for week 3 against the Los Angeles Rams. Head coach Arians also said that the pass rusher JPP and wide receiver Jaden Mickens won't make the trip to Los Angeles this weekend. Brown missed practice on Friday, and at least 20 needs 2 negative tests at least 24 hours apart to be cleared. Scotty Miller could be the sleeper this week.
Could be.
Anyway, yeah, that's the update on Antonio Brown. So I don't think it's happening.
I don't either. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting week of news. Obviously, the Dalvin Cook injury is huge. The late blip on the injury report for DeAndre Hopkins is huge. We'll see. I mean, we have a lot of really, really interesting things to figure out this weekend. We also have to confirm that a lot of these quarterbacks are either starting or they're not starting. Carson Wentz being one of those big ones. Seems that Derek Carr is good to go on him. Ben Roethlisberger looks good to go as well. So, I don't know. We're at the point, guys, that now anything can happen. Enough people have gotten hurt to where things are going to change from Friday to Sunday morning. It's just the nature of week 3 through week 15. Pitts.
Some more injury. Oh, go ahead.
Pitts over Goddard.
Yes, my opinion. It might have been close, but Gage pushed it over.
Agreed. Yeah. Good point.
Gabe Davis no longer questionable. He is fully active.
Cool. Okay. Jared has PTSD from Scotty Miller. I definitely do. Definitely do. You know who guarded him? Kevin King.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah.
I still remember that deep bomb. Jeez, I wish I could talk. I still remember that deep bomb at the end of the second quarter from Scotty Miller in the championship game.
Yep.
That was filthy.
That is the play.
Would not be surprised to see the same exact play ran against that Rams team.
Yeah, exactly. Random question: how good of a bet is USYK versus Joshua not going to a decision? I honestly, I'm talking boxing here? I think we are. I'm totally out of my realm here, buddy.
It looks like boxing, because I think it's Anthony Joshua versus, I don't know who the first person is, but I think you're asking the wrong group of people.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not a big boxing guy. And Josh is a
I am
UFC guy, but I just tag along.
Yeah.
Do we smash Seattle -1.5 if it's still available?
I don't think you need to quite. Actually, I kind of like that spot. I actually really like that spot. It's actually Seattle -1 now too on Bet Online. So let's see if it's changed. Actually, I should refresh my page before.
That is a very interesting thing.
Yep, still -1. Definitely leaning towards getting to -1.5 very soon though.
Okay. I can buy into that actually. I have a feeling that even if Cook plays, he's going to be limited. So yeah. Give me Seattle -1.5. That's cool.
Wow, listen to this. Bill Belichick just said that Jacoby Myers' career path so far is similar to what Julian Edelman did.
Okay. So he likes what he sees. I think I believe it. It's just, can his quarterback get there? And I mean, are there similarities to Mac Jones versus early Tom? Maybe. They're the same kind of player.
Juicy, juicy, juicy.
Obviously, it's always hard to compare anybody to Tom, but I mean, I don't know. Pocket passer, game manager. We'll see. And let's see. UFC card is stacked. Yes, it is. Stafford or Brady for season long. Ooh, Tom Brady.
Really?
Yeah. Give me Tom Brady for season long.
I think it's closer than you're giving it credit for. I guess I'll lean Brady, but I think it's super close.
It is. I mean, the Rams are much more run heavy, though.
Yeah, I understand it. I just don't know if they'll have the opportunity to be run heavy this week.
Not this week. Season long question. Full PPR, flex spot. CEH, Osborne, Myers, Corey Davis. It's definitely gross. I'll give you that part. Give me Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, I can get behind it. Jacoby Myers is fine. It would either be Myers or Corey Davis for me, but I think Myers probably wins out.
The Vikings probably miss another field goal. Yeah, get them at -1 so you can actually cover yourself in that scenario. Yeah, it is very close. Oh, you have Woods too? Then I would go. If you have Woods, then you should take Stafford this week.
Probably.
Josh, would you take the bullet to get a finish under 2.5 rounds?
Can't give away any more free UFC content. I already gave away plenty on the first show. If you want some free UFC bets, then go check it out on the morning after stream. But got to keep my lips sealed for the rest, so I protect the members.
Here's a fun one. How many NFL teams are undefeated after week 3? So I will give you the list.
Yeah.
Undefeated 2021.
We'll announce the winner for the FanDuel voucher after this question, by the way, guys. We just hit the minute 30 or hour 30 mark.
Yep. And then we will get out of here, obviously. This one I wanted to make sure that we get to. This is a fun way to end the stream here. Okay, so there's 7 teams. It is, I wish I could actually see this in like a graph, but it's just a list. Obviously, Arizona is one of them. Carolina is one of them. And I don't have the rest. So that's me being terrible.
Yeah. Niners are one of them. Hold on. Let's look at this. All right. Raiders are one of them. Broncos are one of them. And Bucks are one of them. Rams are one of them. Cardinals are one of them. So I think you have 1, 2, 3, 4.
There's only two AFC teams that are 2-0.
6. Yeah, 6 teams that are currently 7 teams that are currently undefeated, but 1 team that's 3-0. That's the Panthers. I would say the Cardinals will go 3-0.
Yep.
I'll lean the Bucks go 3-0. I'll lean the Broncos and Raiders go 3-0. And I think that you see the Niners and Rams take their first loss.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that you kind of have to give the Raiders this one. And who's Denver playing again? Yeah.
The Jets.
Okay. Amazing schedules for both of those teams. That's going to definitely turn sour on them soon. Okay, so yeah, that's two teams that'll definitely be undefeated. Carolina makes 3. The Bucks make 4. I think that I agree. The Bucks win this game against the Rams, and I think the Cardinals win too. So there's a chance that 4 teams are undefeated, maybe 5 if the 49ers could pull that win off.
Yep.
Okay.
John, it might be Valentina. I don't think anyone's playing Murphy, but you can't just say Valentina's in play. I can't just give you guys that. And I certainly can't give you a bet that I might be betting on.
The Trey Sermon
That ain't
show.
gonna happen.
Yeah, dude. Trey Sermon. OBJ officially off the injury report. He's going to start this week. That's cool. Also, Josh,
Cool.
the Niners are wearing their 94 throwback unis on Sunday night.
I am so excited. I fucking love these unis. These unis are top tier. I think these are some of the nicest unis in the NFL as a whole. So I'm excited.
Okay. All right, guys, we're going to wrap this stream up. Well, we have to give away 1 FanDuel voucher. So, again, we've given it to a lot of you guys who have come out and hung out. If you haven't won one, please feel free to comment in the chat. We'll give it away in the next minute or so. That's crazy. We also did not talk much about the fact that both Kai and Bodie and our APs have a game on Monday night. So we'll cover that very quickly within the next minute. Right now, from what I remember, I believe the Cowboys are 3-point favorites. So I'm pulling that up right now.
3.5 now.
3.5 now. Okay. I mean, I kind of lean the Eagles actually, but I guess where do you side with that?
I lean Cowboys just because it's at home for them.
Okay.
But I think it's super close regardless. I don't know. I probably take plus 3.5 on the Eagles if I'm betting, but I think that Cowboys win probably.
Yeah, this feels like an absolute barn burner type of game. Again, did Dallas show that they were a better defensive team last week? A little bit, but I think that the Chargers could have scored 21 more points that they left on the table.
Yeah, I was about to say the refs are the best defense in that game.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. We are going to give the FanDuel voucher to KB Pitt. Thank you for hanging out, sir, especially with your schedule. I know that this is actually the time that you sleep during the day. So you get today's voucher. Congratulations, and it'll be in your account later this afternoon for tonight's MLB slate. Appreciate you guys hanging out this week. Any final thoughts, Josh, as we head into a weekend of college football, UFC, and NFL?
No, just make sure to keep an eye out for the articles. I know that we weren't able to post by Friday night last week, but you have my word. I'm getting my stuff done by Friday this week or by tonight. So make sure to keep an eye out for the articles from us. And yeah, it's going to be a great week.
Yes, sir. I totally agree. Again, congrats, KB Pitt, and for everybody who's won this week and tuned into all of our shows, all 10 of them, actually, because this is number 10. And we'll see you guys a little bit later on here for 30 to Lock. If you have any questions in regard to any of the NFL content we've put out over the past week, head on over to YouTube at RotoRadar-Daily Fantasy Sports, and we will you'll be able to go and look back at any of the segments, whether it be the FanDuel First Look from Monday, DraftKings First Look from Tuesday, Josh and I's Survival of the Sharpest contest on Wednesday, and then I went through the entire card from a traditional sports betting standpoint on yesterday's the morning after stream. So this one will also be on there too. And again, let's take some money and make some money in week 3. As always, good afternoon and good skill.